We good?
Sorry, I don't know why I was late. I had to eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Kev, we're going to start the meeting?
Sure.
You guys like that? The Fairfield Board of Police Commissioners will hold a regular meeting today at 4:31 p.m., Wednesday, April 8th, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Kate, would you like to lead us? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Millington will not be with us tonight. He had a business deal coming up, so he had called me earlier today. We'll go to the approval of the draft for the minutes on our special meeting on March 11th. Do I hear anything?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now I'd like to have the Deputy Chief step forward, please.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Before I get started, I heard everybody kind of like discussing it amongst themselves, but I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that the Chief was honored in Washington, D.C. last week, was asked to represent all of Connecticut agencies regarding traffic safety. So we are very proud of him, and must have been a great honor.
Yeah, thank you.
So one of the most important things that we discussed this budget season was the state of our outside jobs fund. And you can turn around and kind of look at the screens if you want, or I can just kind of talk you all through it. So the town manages an outside jobs fund, and that fund is... Got to turn it on again. No, I'm good.
You got it. Okay, thank you.
So that fund is filled by the revenue that we collect from outside jobs that our officers work.
Anyway.
So there are two sources of revenue, and those two sources follow two different paths. So the officer fees, those are the fees that are collected from the actual officer working the job, and then there are the vehicle fees, which are fees collected when a vendor requests a police vehicle. Those two fees follow two different paths. So if you follow along my chart here, let's look at the left side. So the officer fees get deposited into the outside jobs fund, which is a fund that's managed at Town Hall. And it's the basis for funding our police vehicle purchases for the next fiscal year. So ultimately where you will see that funding is in our capital outlay budget line for the next fiscal year. So I'll give you an example. This year, we were awarded enough money for 13 cars. So it's about $1,050,000. That will come from the outside jobs fund, whatever that balance is at the end of the year of this year.
Hey, if you know what, Deputy Chief, is that those deposits, are they in an interest-bearing account? Do we have them in a money market? Are we getting anything? I don't think so. I think that's just a regular account, just like any other account that's managed by the town. Okay.
So, yeah, there's no interest being gained on those. So you will see that it will roll into capital outlay in the next fiscal year. The town set a $1 million minimum to be kept in that account. Our anticipated end-of-year revenue, specifically from officer fees, is $257,479. Now, that's conservative because that number is based on monthly averages up to this point. April, May, and June are busier months for road jobs, so that end number at the end of the year will probably be bigger, but maybe not that much bigger. So historically, we ask for 10 vehicles. We have a plan with the town, 10 new vehicles in, 10 old vehicles out that go back to the town to be used within any other departments that they deem necessary, or they may auction off those cars. The town keeps the money from the auction cars. So if you look at the net, that's a negative $550,000. If we're looking at this as those are the fees that fund our cars, you can see how that negative net draws down on the balance that's in that fund. And this year, with them awarding us 13 cars, it's going to go below that $1 million minimum. So what the Board of Finance said to us during budget hearings this year was that Fairfield PD is gonna have to start planning to ask for less cars, maybe 5 cars a year. As you can imagine, that doesn't sit well with us, so we'll continue on.
I'm sorry to have so many questions, Deputy Chief.
No, please do.
That's a carry forward balance, or that balance gets zeroed out every year?
So it's a carry forward, but what's happening with that net being in the negative,
Yeah,
the carry forward is smaller every year. So that fund is now in a state of decline where it falls below that 1 million, so they're telling us they can't support 10 cars for us every year. But I'm gonna continue on and talk about some plans that we have. But before we do that, let's take a look at column number 2, the vehicle fees. This is the biggest point of contention for us. So, please, if I'm confusing anybody, please stop me and ask questions. So, those fees are intermittently deposited into our maintenance and repair of automotive budget line in the current fiscal year. So it's the basis for routine maintenance repair of fleet vehicles in the current fiscal year. Now, here's the problem. The Board of Finance starts this budget line at a deficit of negative $196,000 to minimize end-of-year favorability. Any remaining favorability, which now with that negative is usually around $50,000, does not go into the outside jobs fund. It goes back into the general fund. So it is still not to our benefit. Our anticipated end-of-year revenue for that is $496,533. Our annual average expenses throughout the fiscal year in that budget line is about $250,000. So that's a net $50,533 at the end of the year. That goes back into the general fund. So now we have some proposals to try to achieve some sustainability in that fund. Immediately, we would like to discuss increasing officer fees and vehicle fees within reason so we don't price ourselves out and so that we're staying competitive with other agencies. And I'll get into a little more detail in a minute. For next fiscal year, what we would really like support from the Commission on is a couple of things. This one first, appeal to the first select person in the Board of Finance so that the maintenance repair of automotive budget line starts at a zero balance, which would be fair, and that any end-of-year favorability, which will likely be to the tune of $250,000, gets deposited into the outside jobs fund because that is revenue that is generated off the backs of our officers. And if the Board of Finance is telling us we have to go from 10 cars to 5 cars, that should kind of be a wake-up call, that those funds should go into our funds so we can sustain our minimum 10 vehicles per year.
Deputy, why do they start the beginning balance at a negative? What was the reasoning behind that? What did they?
So they were looking at our end-of-year favorability. So if we're ending the year in that one budget line at $250,000 and we went over in, let's say, overtime by $100,000, they couldn't really look at us and say, shame on you, Fairfield PD, you got to get your overtime under control because we had so much more favorability in this budget line to offset the bottom line. So they said, if you have that much favorability, we need to start you at a negative so that we get a true sense of what your budget is at the end of the year. But I don't think anybody really thought about the fact that these are funds that should be benefiting the police department, not the general fund.
It should be a zero-based budget.
Zero-based, 100%.
That's standard accounting principle.
So we asked for it this year and we didn't get it. So we may have to push a little bit harder and we'll probably need support from the Commission for next year.
How can we support you?
I think pretty much like what you all did for us last year when we were asking for a big increase in personnel, having the chairperson write a letter on behalf of the Commission explaining why this is so important and that we have full support of the Commission. I think that really speaks volumes and it really holds a lot of weight. So we could probably use that same kind of help and representation like Commissioner Ambrose and Commissioner Conley showed up with us at the first couple of budget meetings. I think that is just really impactful. So if we could talk about doing that again this year.
So like you'll let us know in advance.
Absolutely.
We can be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good. So Commissioner, Chairman, I have two
Go ahead.
questions. How long has this practice been in place where you start with the negative balance? Does that go back?
It goes back, I want to say, 3 years.
3 years. So it's relatively a recent thing.
Because what happened was that before we had ODM that was responsible for collecting fees from the vendors, the town had an account that floated money to pay our officers while they were waiting for vendors to remit the fees to the town.
I understand that.
When we went over to ODM, they were wondering, well, what do we do with this $2 million that's in this account? And they said, well, we're gonna start this outside jobs fund. It's gonna start at $2 million. It's gonna support the capital outlay line for the police department, and over time, it'll draw down. We slowed that decline by the fees coming in from ODM. So we got a couple more years out of it. But now somehow the town seems to forget that they used to fund our capital outlay, that we weren't funding our own capital outlay, and I think they just kind of got used to that we did.
Absolutely.
So when in year one with ODM, we finished the year in that budget line that I was talking about with about $250,000 in favorability, and that's when they said, well, that's not right. We're going to start you low so that you kind of zero out at the end of the year. But that just never really made
Who the hell
sense.
came up with that?
Yeah, that's
Previous administration.
That's, I don't get that. The other question is, this is similar in some ways to a revolving fund, if you will. Sort of like Parks and Rec, I'll use as an example. Okay, Parks and Rec has expenses, they buy things, they take revenue in, so there's similarities between these two things. Do they do a similar thing with the Parks and Recs fund by trying to level set them and start them at a negative number to get them to a zero balance?
Chief and I have looked through everybody else's budget. I have not seen any other budget lines in any other department starting in negative.
I can't imagine that they do it, or why they would do it, or why they would do it here and not elsewhere. Okay.
And the fire department doesn't have a similar.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Oh, no.
Chair.
They're like the golden
Okay.
child.
That's a question.
Go ahead.
Deputy Chief, so a couple of things, takeaways. The vehicles, it's appreciated over a period of time, so that either the town's getting credit for it or somebody else. So that, I think, Chair, we just have to get a clear answer, because that's confusing to me from a financial standpoint. Number two, your overtime's intuitive, so you would build in normal overtime, and then you would have a variance of the overtime based on some explanations, right? Right, so I don't understand how that factors into the calculation. And kind of the last thing is, and this is kind of like, I was whispering to Commissioner Kiley, if you have a negative carry forward, you're carrying that over year. That's just wholly counterintuitive, because you have to start with a zero-based budget. Otherwise, you don't have a variance against, because if you have a negative from the last year that's artificially inflated, you're not getting good budget comparisons.
So just a point of clarification.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. What I just don't want to mislead you. So that negative $196,000 that they start us at in our budget in that maintenance line,
Yeah.
the negative does not carry over each year.
Okay.
What ends up happening is we should be ending the year with
just wrong for that year.
right. So we should be ending the year with about $250,000 in favorability, which should be going into the outside jobs fund, but it's not because they're starting us so low. We're still finishing with about $50,000 in favorability, but that is going back into the general fund. So not even that $50,000 is going into our outside jobs fund.
So when Captain Irizarry buys the vehicles and does an incredible job with them, that's not a budgeted line item that PD gets approval for on an annual basis. You need to use this offset revenue, right? So I just want to make sure I'm thinking about this, right? Using this offset revenue to buy those vehicles. Is that an accurate statement?
So we do go, it is included in the budget process. We do appeal for it, but what they do is they look at the balance of the outside jobs fund and say yes or no.
Let's say you didn't have the outside jobs fund. Wouldn't those vehicles intuitively be put in the PD budget? They used to.
They used to.
Yeah.
They used to, but we would have to fight for how many we want.
Setting aside the difficulty, right, just to be so we're clear.
Mhm.
It used to be that the vehicles were intuitively placed in it's a capital budget event, right? That you amortize it over the useful life, which is 7 or 8 years, whatever you guys say.
Mhm.
And then they took that component out because you had this outside job fund. So
That is
So
correct.
it's wholly punitive. It's punitive, right? Because you should be getting the allocation, because this is part of what you need to run the department. And then you're being asked to offset it with this. So if you have a bad year, it's punitive.
Yeah, that's the concern, is that
Okay, got it.
our jobs
But it
are
was
not,
crazy.
our jobs are not guaranteed to have road work. If for
That's right.
suddenly
Mhm.
the road work dries up,
But chief, you still need the
this month,
vehicles.
yeah, we still need the vehicles, exactly.
Yeah, COVID
happened again.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
yeah,
COVID
right.
happened again, then what?
Well,
Yeah, so the
doesn't mean
risk
to be that
is-
intuitive. It's just a bad year.
if the outside jobs fund dries up, and this is basically what the Board of Finance was telling us to prepare for, is that in future budget seasons, we may have to be prepared to walk in and ask for only 5 cars instead of 10.
That's why they're saying that.
So we want to make some big changes now to make sure the fund is sustainable so that, I mean, the chief and I are talking about, we need to increase how many cars we're asking for every year from 10 to 15 because we have more personnel than we had 2 years ago.
That's right, you're still working on the
Can you just touch one thing, Eddie, also about the school unit, how we're,
Going to get, yep, that's actually the next slide.
Madam Chair, please,
Yes,
Chair.
go ahead.
If you could show us just year over year, the vehicles that you bought and need, it would be very helpful for the chair and the commission, right?
Sure.
So at least we have a point of reference, and then you can tell us,
Mhm.
because guys, we know how hard you're working, right? We know how much hours these gents put in and the ladies put in, very sensitive to that. But that would be real helpful, especially
I have
for
no
me,
more questions.
if that pleases the chair.
Mhm, absolutely, uh-huh.
So
We have one more.
just, when the town takes the cars over and resells them, or do we get credit for that?
We do
Because
not.
you have to buy them in total out of your budget, and then they get to, the use of them and/or, yeah, okay.
The town gets the benefit of the ones we give
Right,
back.
yeah.
Okay, we'll do
Okay,
whatever
that
you
doesn't
want.
seem right either.
We'll do a letter, whatever you need.
That would be fantastic.
Yep, mhm.
So I'm going to circle back to the increase of the fees. But before I go there, there's another outstanding item that I want to touch on, and that is the Board of Education and our dedicated school safety unit.
Right.
We give roughly a $1.6 million gift to the Board of Education every year because we're giving them 7 officers full-time with 7 cars full-time. So for the next fiscal year, we would also like support from the Commission in appealing to the public school superintendent and the Board of Education for a fair percentage subsidy. So if you take a look at this, 7 officers assigned I meant to write FPS annually, sorry, Fairfield Public Schools annually at about $150,000 per officer if you consider salary, benefits, training, equipment, and school event overtime is about $1,050,000 in personnel. 7 vehicles at an average of $83,000 each is $581,000 for a total of $1,631,000. That's every year without subsidy. That goes to the Board of Education. So, yes.
But, so, these are dedicated, school resource safety officers to Fairfield Public Schools, middle schools, and grammar schools, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So, a best case scenario would be if the Board of Ed covered the cost of the vehicle. Since we're talking about cars and the town is telling us we have to plan for less cars, we would love it if the Board of Education could cover the cars that we give them. I think fair, at minimum, would be to ask them for a 25% subsidy, which would still be $407,750, and all things combined would give us a sustainable outside jobs fund. Now, the proposed rate increases I want to touch on real quick. The chief put this chart together. The top chart in black is what is existing. So let's look mostly at where it says hourly rate. So right now, the hourly rate that the officers are paid is $82.30. Other indicates a discount that we give for school jobs, where the schools pay $50 per officer. And then the vehicle fees currently at $25. That's per hour?
Yeah.
Per hour. So the suggested new rates would be to have the personnel fees go up to $90 an hour. That's a 9.36% increase. Have the school discount go from $50 to $75 an hour, and to have the vehicle fees go from $25 to $45. That's an 80% jump, and it seems big, but when we compare to other agencies, it's actually not that much. I was talking to the town controller before he left, and he said that he's worked with other agencies that would charge anywhere from $50 to $100 per car. So I think bumping from 25 to 45 is fair. So when we put all of this together, potential annual accruals, if we can change everything in the way that we want them to change, officer fees increase. I applied that 9.36% to this end of year total. It goes up to $281,579. Apply the 80% to the vehicle fees. That goes up to $893,759. And then if we had at minimum 25% Board of Ed subsidy, $407,750 gives us a total of $1,583,583.88. And then if we minus the Typical maintenance and repair expenses, that brings us down to $1,333,88. And then if we stick with a 10-vehicle minimum, that leaves a balance in that fund at the end of the year of $525,088, and that will carry over each year. That will sustain the fund. If we were to go to 15 vehicles every year, which is what we really want, 15 vehicles in, 15 vehicles out, which benefits the town as well, then we're looking at that that balance at the end of every year is about $100,000 and change, and that will compound every year. And that is the end of that presentation.
And when you calculate the number of hours that the officers spend at the school, is that an 8-hour day or?
It is, it's full-time. They work a Monday through Friday schedule, day shifts, so they work 40-hour weeks, and we leave them there over the summer because there is actually a lot of work to do over the summer with camps and other programs.
So it's a full day then? It's not like, okay.
It is,
Year-round.
year-round.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
So $75 per school, does that include rank, or is it just across the
Flat.
What?
It's flat. What the vendor pays is flat, but, and she correct me if I'm wrong, but what the officers earn is contingent on their rank, correct?
That's correct. Yep,
Sure. Considered like overtime?
Yes.
So the $75 still does not cover the price of the officers working,
Right.
but it's a discount to the school system, knowing that it's another town entity. However, it's definitely less than what the officers are making, and we're still eating that
So you're
difference.
absorbing the cost.
Yeah.
We're absorbing that cost.
Now, what if you change it to like the overtime rate of the officers?
That's what we do right now, so the 8230 is a, average of what the officers are making. And if we, like, that's what we charge the public, 8230, an average. Understanding that some officers make less, some officers make more.
Okay, so that's the average.
Yeah.
Patrolman
But
makes
this,
less.
you just give the discount to the schools as a courtesy.
That's correct.
As a historical?
That's
Yeah.
historical,
So
yeah.
you have to eat the rest.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, $50 with our pay increases is
Like,
nearly half of what the officers are making, so
That's a big hit to us.
it's a big.
Sure it is, yeah.
So what is the normal overtime rate for a patrol officer?
On average, it would be
Yeah,
8230.
So if a sergeant or lieutenant works it, we have to eat the extra cost, right?
Correct, maybe a little higher, exactly.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Blanco?
Yeah, a couple of questions. So, one, Deputy Chief, and I think Kathleen Rosario just confirmed it, that those school resource safety officers, for the most part, are January to December assigned to the school, right?
Correct.
That does not come out of the Board of Ed budget,
Not one bit.
but they serve in exclusivity?
They do.
Okay. So that, I mean, I think generally, Chair, we should, again, have a conversation with that, because I don't know what other agencies do in terms of allocations, but I don't know if someone could just look at that for us?
So what we've seen, the first thing I'll say is I haven't seen another agency that has a full-time dedicated unit like we do. That has always been kind of specific to us, and we've really been the model that a lot of other agencies aspire to. One thing that we have always had to be careful for with subsidy is if the scale tips in favor of the Board of Education funding the majority of the cost of those officers, they are awarded supervisory control, which we do not want.
And that's statutory?
I believe that is statutory.
Then one of the
You don't want
attorneys will
that.
check that.
So we want to
we don't want
ensure
the
that,
schools in charge of the officers.
No.
Well, I said, we.
Yeah.
right, we want to make sure that
Right.
we have full supervisory control over our
We have to
officers.
check the statute,
Yeah.
that's all.
I think yeah.
Okay.
But even if we said they're going to cover the cost of the cars or at minimum 25%, I mean, we are well within the range of maintaining supervisory control.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's where you solve for that bogey. Got it.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Good.
Do you have
Thank
anything?
you.
Great job, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, what is the
I've
sense of the
got one more
commission?
question. The rates aside, because the rates, are covering what we just talked about and how they compare to neighboring towns, that's one issue. But if we raise the rates and put more money into the larger fund, what is that really going to get us? Because wouldn't the Board of Finance look at that additional revenue and make an additional adjustment to what they've already done to start you with a different number, and potentially these rate increases having no positive impact on the big picture here.
Yeah, this is where we need the help of the commission. So, step one is raise the rates. We have to do that anyway, just from the standpoint of as officer salaries are increasing, where that net for us is getting smaller and smaller all the time. So we have to do that anyway. But you're right, the money is in the vehicle increases. And right now, the way this is structured, that's benefiting the town, it is not benefiting us.
Right.
Yeah,
So that is really,
Okay.
that goes to my previous question, Commissioner Kyle.
Yeah, it does.
Because if the vehicles, again, are part of the normal operation of the agency, just like every other agency, fire, et cetera, those things are capitalized expenses that every year have to be budgetly allocated, right? And you don't go through this scenario because you've got a budget that's reflective of what the agency needs, as opposed to the subsidy that could have a deleterious effect. So it's very confusing to us, especially me, from a financial point of view, right? Because there's an operating budget, and the operating budget has different components. This is a component. If you guys could tell me, or us, excuse me, how many cars you need a year, and the projection, I think the conversation has to be, why isn't this included?
well, I think what we like about the outside jobs fund approach is that it takes the argument out of it. So if we're relying solely on the town, then they can come back to us and say, well, we're only gonna give you 5 cars this year. But if we have a fund that could sustain 15 from what we brought in revenue, there's really no argument there. So we don't mind that it's set up this way, but as we look at how the fund is declining at such a rapid rate, and we see areas where we could be doing better to keep that fund growing, I think that is what we need.
That's my point.
It's the mechanics of the fund is the biggest problem.
Right.
It's whoever concocted that scheme, which never would have been done when I was on the board of finance.
No.
Likely not.
So the first thing we have to do is raise the rates, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
that's kind
on
of
the
an
agenda, it says
independent
for
thing,
discussion. So what process do we have to do?
So I think raising the rates is as simple as you all coming to a vote in this
Okay,
session,
okay,
and then further discussion on the bigger items that are a little bit longer term.
okay. So is there?
I'll make a motion that, we raise the rates pursuant to,
According to
The
schedule that's been distributed to us, yes.
Okay.
A second, good.
A second, okay. Is there any discussion at all?
Just to clarify, it's going to 90, 75, 25. I'm sorry, there is.
Apparently it's in our
It's the
packet.
bottom page.
Yeah, it's the
Okay,
last page in the
in
packet.
your stack of papers?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yep, it's all, yep, okay. So does everybody know what we're doing here on the rates?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. It's been second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Okay, they're done.
Okay, you're welcome. So what do we do next? You want a letter from me, or can we talk about that?
Yeah, I'd like us to get
Okay.
together and kind of like agree on
Okay.
all the points that we want to make and just
Okay.
decide on the best way. We don't want it to come off as a money grab, like we want to really explain that
Mm-hmm.
this is essential to our functioning as a
Absolutely.
police department, our service
Conversation.
community.
Mm-hmm, okay. All right.
There's
Thank
a lot of
you.
new Board of Finance members, it's good to explain, our position, I think it's a good idea.
Absolutely. Uh-huh.
Shouldn't we just pick out those succinct points just so we can clearly articulate the important points? I mean, I find it astounding that the cars that have gone through the process are just sold off by the town, and we're not getting credit for that money. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
no.
Especially when we have replaced those same cars with new cars.
Yes.
I mean,
Mr. Ambrose is making my point again.
salient points that if we can.
Absolutely, Commissioner Ambrose. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can we give you the authority to go ahead and take that action, or do we have to bring it back here? I mean, we want to get to them now, right?
The sooner the better. I know they're wrapping up this year's budget.
Yep.
So it might be a good July 1 conversation. to
Okay.
start.
All right,
So
all right.
we
You
can
don't-
meet
we're
and
not
talk
gonna make this
about it
budget.
and go over,
Right,
yeah.
We
Okay.
lost this budget, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Mhm,
All right, so we
okay.
have some time to talk about it.
And anytime you need us, at the, budget hearings or need us for any meeting, please let us know. We will, at least some of us, if not all of us, will be there to support you. Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that very much.
Okay. All right. Going on to item number 4, approval of February animal control donations.
Okay, we have
Commissioner
a
Tyne?
$150 cash donation made by an anonymous resident who's regularly supporting Friend of the Shelter. $70 cash donations received from multiple individuals who were appreciative of the safekeeping of their pets until they could claim them from the shelter, for a total of $220. And then we have a $10 cash donation received from the Marino family of Bristol. The Marinos were motivated to adopt 2 elderly cats from the Fairfield Animal Shelter after seeing them posted on the Animal Control Facebook page. And $90 cash donation received from a longtime friend of Fairfield Animal Control. This anonymous donor stopped by twice to drop off a cash donation of $50 on March 12th, 2026, and $40 on March 16th, 2026, for a total of total donations are $100.
Mm-hmm.
So add the $220, we have $320 donated.
Okay. Because we have listed 4 and 5, do we have to vote on it separately, or can we do it together? Together?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So I'll make the motion, we accept the donations.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? It passed.
Okay.
Hmm? Okay, we'll go on to item number 6, monthly report for February 2026. Anybody?
Looks good. Like the traffic stops are up again.
I have no copy.
Yeah, so, if I could just discuss a couple things, especially regarding supervisory, recognition of our personnel. Officer Mark Letch, of course, another senior officer of ours, does a great job every single day. Was involved in a Beijing motor vehicle crash investigation where, he was able to capture, surveillance video. And, he received finally a letter back saying, from the person, who he was arrested, saying he wants to thank Officer Letch for, reminding me why respect for law enforcement is necessary, et cetera.
Wow.
So it's things like that what really makes our jobs worthwhile when you are exposed to an arrest of a person and they're thankful for helping, make their day. So, of course, that's important.
Very important.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Can I bring a point up? We have to approve the minutes from March 11th, and I don't see it on the agenda.
Number 2?
Oh, two?
Didn't we,
missed
I
it.
thought we did it.
I think
We approved the minutes?
Yeah.
I believe we did.
Yes, we did.
Sorry,
Okay.
Ron.
I retract my...
You were here.
I was here. I think I was here.
You're busy getting involved in other
They're
stuff.
very
Yeah,
focused
yeah.
on this right now.
That's okay.
So,
All right, that's the monthly report, 2020.
February? Yeah,
We got March here.
If we can go on to March.
Please.
The most notable, things that are occurring are, investigations that are occurring by our Detective Bureau.
Mm-hmm.
And our Patrol Division. Our Detective Bureau is doing a lot of, investigatory skill arrests, especially related to gold bar scams, et cetera. As you see in the monthly
I
report,
saw that.
there've been arrests of 2 people who, were responsible for the loss of almost $200,000 for people, and that's in the low end. We're seeing that happen more and more, and it's the elderly residents that are targeted in our town. So for our investigators to go out there and capture people like this, and then hold them accountable, bringing them back to Fairfield from out of state, that's important. It's important for us to do that, and I think we're setting the message by doing so. As you see, our new patrol vehicle is on display. If you look at this page at the bottom here, you can see the new design of our patrol cars.
Yeah, I saw it.
Very strong.
Well received by our
Looks nice.
officers. Kind of a new look to the Fairfield Police Department.
Yeah.
Oh, it's flashy.
Is it? It looks good. You
Yeah,
can
looks
find
great.
it.
Yeah, it came out nice.
Graphics are amazing.
did.
Wow.
I saw it, I don't know.
We just can't get to it.
Lots of lights.
You can have five, you can have
You have
five.
five, maybe.
And then, again,
Yeah.
most of you are aware of this, but we, had the Candlewood Road home invasion.
Oh, yes, right.
And, our officers and detectives working this case did a phenomenal job. We are hoping in the next few months, to hold an official award ceremony, because we're getting a lot of these awards come through.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like to formally recognize our officers in a setting like we used to do.
Yeah.
And have them on stage and, show them off a little bit to their families and to us.
I think it's
Which is important, that's
Mhm.
important to all of us.
Yep, mhm.
So in the next few months, you'll be hearing from us about, a potential award ceremony that we're going to kind of make a big deal,
Mhm.
for our officers doing all this good work. But the Candlewood Road incident is just one example of the good work that our officers are doing, using all technology available. We used the drones on that day, we used our body cameras, we used all the stuff that we were, given from the Axon contract. And the first selectwoman saw it, face to face in action, very, very well received.
Mhm.
For example, yesterday, there were two, or day before yesterday, there were two missing kayakers on Long Island Sound. And they were struggling to get in because of the tide.
Mhm.
And, our drone operator sent the drone out to Long Island Sound and located them and gave their coordinates to our Marine unit, who responded and rescued them.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Huge show of why these, technological advances
such a
are
quick-
important.
They're great tools.
Great tool.
Yep.
How many departments are using the drone,
So the way that we're using it, we're using
other
it,
departments?
sure, we're using it in a manner called drone for first responders, so drone as a first responder, meaning the drone is positioned in a dock.
Yeah.
It's above our headquarters, there's one at
Mhm.
Station 2, and we're also looking for a third location, we have 3 drones. And they respond to the incident like this, so departments using it like that. It's Fairfield, Stanford has it right now, and Milford.
wow.
And there may be one other or 2 others, but for the most part, it's us, Stanford, and Milford.
So we stand out.
We're stand out, yeah. We right now, are probably the lead agency in the technological advancement using Axon technology, which is huge. I think we are one of the first agencies to have all of the components involved, which every single one of them have been used independently and combined.
Amazing.
We need to show that.
Great job.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very proud of everybody here.
Mhm. Is there any questions on the commission?
Yeah, just a quick one.
Mhm.
The ceremony you mentioned, is that something you would do like in the evening as a separate item or
Yes.
as
Yeah.
part of one of our meetings?
No, evening, separate item,
Okay.
Good.
kind of like a dedicated night for awards for us.
Mhm.
Where would
That'd be
that
great.
be?
Mhm.
So we've done it at different spots. We're hoping to do it at Penfield Pavilion
Yeah,
maybe.
I know,
Amazing.
Somewhere,
that'd be perfect.
summertime, night
Oh, it'd
area.
be great,
Yeah,
yeah.
The
we'll have
families
dinner.
can all be there.
Yeah,
It's really
we'll have dinner for the officers and their
Yeah.
families and,
Great.
yeah.
Mhm.
So we're hoping to do that.
Good stuff.
Something to think about too, our department in a few years, 2029, does everybody know? It will be its 100th year.
100th year?
Yeah,
Wow.
of our department.
Really?
So we are, kind of thinking about what we're gonna do for the 100th year. I'm thinking like a policeman's ball,
Oh, wow, nice.
make it kind of a big deal for the 100th.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the renovations will be done by then.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be great.
So yeah,
I know, without budget, I'm not sure.
yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe, yeah.
So these award ceremony will be like a yearly thing, right?
The award ceremony, we're hoping to do it on a yearly,
Yeah,
every
I
year.
think you
Yeah.
should. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it really is. Yep. Mhm. Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Item number 8, Commissioner Kiley, Chairperson for the Traffic Authority. Can you give us an update, please?
Thank you, madam. Yeah, so
Thank you.
a couple things on that. I'm gonna ask your indulgence on a couple things. I have a report to hand out for everyone, but it's quite a bit of information. It's, there's a spreadsheet with some data, and there's a 6-page report talking about what the Fairfield Traffic Authority did in their inaugural year, which was, it was good. It was good for the most part, but we learned more along the way, and we got better along the way. So if it would please the board, what I would like to do, and I'll send an electronic copy as well to the command staff, if I could give this report out to everyone and kind of ask you to just take it and absorb it, and then maybe at our next meeting, I think I would like to go through it in some detail, but I want to have Meg High and/or Bill here from engineering
Sure.
to both get credit for the work they've done and the contributions that they've made, but also they can frankly better explain some of these things along with the command staff on whether it was something we did out of public safety or whether it was something we did out of strictly engineering, or in many cases, a combination of both. Those guys have done just a ton of work, really fantastic work. And we've made a lot of positive changes around town. A couple here and there are controversial. They can answer questions about why this, why that. There's some of that going on. Even back to the police commission approvals of things like Reading Road and/or Villa Avenue. Excuse me. Those are the two that kind of get the most media or social media attention. And there are some issues there that I think we can tweak and address and maybe make better, but it's not the cluster bomb that a lot of people are, I can't believe this sky's falling kind of a thing that other people are saying. It's just not the case.
The meeting's still the last Thursday of the month?
Third Thursday of the month.
The third Thursday?
Yeah, second Wednesday here, third Thursday there. I have to keep remembering that.
At what time?
4 o'clock. First Selectmen's, or the conference room in the, Independence Hall is where we meet. So, without taking up any more time now, because I know we have other work to do, let me pass this out.
Sure.
I will email a copy out as well to make sure everyone has it. There's a lot of data here. If you have any questions, email me along the way. But I'll have them here next month to go through it.
That's great, that's a great idea.
And I think that's the best way to do it, because I'm gonna have fewer answers than they will have today. But this is the report that I presented to the RTM in, January,
Thank you.
right?
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner.
So this will save us some time tonight, and
Okay. Are there any questions?
I'll make sure Millington gets one
For
as
Kevin?
well. He's just the only guy.
I will memorize it, Kevin, and have questions for you next month. No, this is great. I appreciate it, so we know what we're looking at and
Yeah.
listening to.
There's a lot there. There's a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of things down there like, hey, these are some bigger pictures, because as we transition through this first year, we've worked a lot on process. You know,
And it was a
what are we doing, how are we doing,
Yeah.
who's doing what?
Yep.
And the biggest challenge we had is all of the inputs into the process. Because if somebody has a problem with traffic, well, look at, they can contact the police commission, they can contact the traffic authority directly, they can contact any of our members directly, they can call the police department, they can go through,
Yeah.
I forget the name of the platform online.
Oh,
Cooler.
Kueller, yeah.
Yep, they can do that. They call the first selectman's office, they call engineering, they call public works. There's about 10 different ways, 12 different ways for people to get their issue known to somebody. And then there's, behind the scenes, it's been difficult to manage all of that inflow and all that traffic. So, that was one of our biggest challenges. And I think we have it somewhat organized and somewhat settled. And then there was, disruption in the first selectman's office last summer.
Sure.
For a number
It
of
was a
months.
difficult year, and you guys did a great job.
Well,
putting
thank
it
you.
together.
Everyone worked hard, and we learned a lot. And I want Meg High and Bill to be here to get credit for the work they've done, frankly.
Hey, just ask a question. If someone wanted to email the traffic authority, what would be the best email? Is it in here? I can find it?
I don't know if you put it in this report
Like, who would be the
or not.
best contact person? Because I do get calls, and I don't want to send them all over.
Let me get that for you.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
Here's Kevin's
That's
cell
fine.
phone.
Kevin's cell phone. That happens
I didn't want
too.
to do that.
Okay.
There may be a way
Well,
on the town
they-
website.
The first selectman's office put together a commission, and kind of a group,
Yeah,
that studied it took them 4, 5, 6 months just to kind of flow chart
right.
all of this, just the process. you know, all of these inputs, who's answering the phone, who's answering the email.
Sure.
Why is this one going there and that one going there and this one going here and this one not going
It's a
anywhere?
process.
There was a ton of that kind of stuff. And once the word went out from the RTM, hey, we created this great ordinance, and you guys now have a solution for all your traffic problems, we got flipping bombarded with, like, you know, I want speed bumps on Post Road because.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so some of them, you know, didn't meet the threshold
Sure.
to be considered, and
Mhm.
somebody has to look at that and understand all that. Like when someone says, I want 4 speed bumps in a row and 2 stop signs, you know, things that are, you know,
Gotta come
not
back with a good
doable.
answer, you know.
You know,
Yeah.
somebody has to inform them that that's not going to make it through the process.
We don't
Right,
have
right.
a.
That's not going to make it to a public meeting of the FTA for you to come and
Yeah.
tell us why you want that, if it wasn't possible to even get that. So those underlying processes, took a while to get, you know, figured out.
Has it died down a little bit, though?
A little bit.
Okay.
We're down now to what, 4, 5, 6 salient items a month, maybe 7 or 8 on a busy
Mhm.
month. And it's a little less hectic than it was, and it's getting better.
Mhm.
I can't find you a little link on the town's website, so maybe that's something they can.
All right, you can let me know, it's no big deal. Yep.
Commissioner, there is a link on the town website
How do you
for the
get
Fairfield
it?
Traffic Authority.
Is it just like it
It's
says?
a fill-in-the-blank
Okay, yeah.
link. You could put in your name, email address, street address, and the message to the authority. That's what generates the complaints.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and so, and where's that on the
It's on
town?
the town website.
Mhm.
Under,
Traffic Authority.
Okay.
I
Mhm.
just looked at it, didn't
Yep.
see traffic authority there, but
Okay,
that,
great.
you know, I'm
Mhm.
old, so.
Okay, is there any more questions
All
for?
right, so next month we'll get those guys here and
Absolutely.
we'll knock it out.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item number 9 is the cameras, the ATSED update. There you go, Captain. Huh?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. To provide you with a quick update on our ATSD program, as you're aware, the program covers 6 school zones, being Burr, Riverfield, Dwight, Ward, Ludlow, and Notre Dame. The project is on schedule and transitioning from installation into activation. All 6 locations are active construction sites, and pole installation is complete at every site, which was a significant milestone for our department.
Sure. Mhm.
Burr, Dwight, Riverfield, Notre Dame, and Ludlow are the furthest along, with cameras in the final installation phase. Ward High School is requiring specialized equipment, and that's due to be completed next week. The next step, which was done this morning, thanks to the chief's help, we got our inspections completed by the building department. After all the cameras are installed, we will make contact with the UI to energize each of the cameras in final configuration and testing. Looking ahead, we anticipate the 30-day warning period to begin May 1st,
Okay.
with enforcement projected early June. This is dependent on the UI supply of power to each of those cameras. On a PIO standpoint, we met this morning. We're working closely with our PIO to ensure the public is well informed through educational and appropriate media releases before activation. There will be a significant media release tomorrow morning on this.
Okay. Mhm.
From a department standpoint, we are ready. While ViaView, which is the vendor system for the speed detection for violation and processing, is not yet fully deployed, our traffic officers and staff are fully trained to review and verify each of the violations. In closing, the project is on track. All locations are progressing with our best-case scenario timing, and we are moving forward with a clear focus on safety, transparency, and operational readiness. Any questions?
Outstanding.
Great job.
Great job.
Will the location of the cameras be disclosed
Yeah,
on the
so-
poles? We'll know?
Yeah, so there's gonna be adequate signage.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I drove by Riverfield this morning, and I keep my Waze app on, and I was alerted through Waze that there was a speed camera there.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay,
there's
yeah.
definite notification, both in signage,
Around
electronic.
Dealer's
Yep.
choice.
I
So-
drive by Ludlow every morning,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
20.
You better watch this one.
So, I got a question about talk about the revenue that's going to public works, but we might get some of that back, if you know what.
The revenue? So the revenue from the speed cameras can only be used for traffic safety updates. And that's of engineering. There are some carve-outs that allow us to cover for the, officers who are going to be reviewing the cameras, for, approvals or denials of whether the speeder was actively speeding through or not. But it's not coming back directly to the police department in any way. It's really for roadway safety, traffic safety improvements.
Who administers that? Who administers
So,
that?
I think what they're gonna do is a separate fund, and, it will be managed by DPW engineering, things like that.
No, the physical tickets when they come in,
Okay, so, yeah, it'll be the Special Services Division, whether that be a mixture of civilian and officer personnel. We haven't really ironed that out yet. We're trying to make sure that we have our footing before we find out who's actually gonna be managing it. Now, one of the biggest concerns for us, that is going to be appeals. Because these appeals could come in, very, drastically. So right now, the town is, contracted an appeals, what's he called?
The attorney.
Yeah, there's an attorney. Yeah, Lucas Thomas.
Lucas Thomas is your appeals attorney, yeah.
He does the same one for the parking.
Exactly.
Yeah, the parking,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, we'll see. It's gonna be, we're gonna go with it.
How much time is this, maybe Catherine, yes. There's an additional time now on the Special Services Bureau for this, right?
Correct.
So now we have to allocate personnel time and not increase personnel to do it, correct?
Well, what I'm looking to do is, I have all of my traffic officers trained on this, as well as Suzanne Karoblian and her assistant Mackenzie Rowley in the parking department, as trained as being certified for the verification process. How much time? I'd like that to go on an overtime basis, so it doesn't take away from the traffic officers out on the street doing their very important work. And then we could fund that through the revenue generated through the APSD program. Because that, like the chief said, the money generated from that is for traffic safety infrastructure and support of that program.
Right,
So we have to
You won't have
allocate.
any oversight on like,
For some of that overtime.
yeah, is it okay to use overtime? Or who,
Who would determine that?
Yeah.
I think it would be me
It'd be-
or.
it would be in
yeah,
the-
we'd call
okay,
out the
right.
department who's
There's not gonna be
managing it.
somebody else
Yeah.
saying,
It's just, we're gonna have to, as Eddie and I go through this,
Gonna be a-
if it's a separate fund,
yeah.
we're gonna have to determine, how that money's gonna get transferred to us. Now, it's possible, because we have transferred funds all over the place, but, we are gonna track it through our overtime, program,
Yeah,
called
okay,
POC.
good.
And we'll track that specifically so that we're, accounting for every dollar that we're using for it.
Now, is there a time period on the cameras? We had mentioned it earlier. Is it 24 hours, or
Yeah, so,
is school in session,
the
or?
way I look at it, Commissioner, is a school zone is a school zone.
Okay,
So they're gonna be running 24 hours a
Okay.
day, 7 days a week.
Be the
Yep.
best customer.
yeah, and it's good we're getting that out there, because I think people think it's only during school hours.
Because there's signs up on some of the
I'm
schools
gonna give my
that
credit
say
on file.
20 miles an hour during these hours,
Correct.
and then it's 25, I think.
Then it resorts back to the normal speed limit.
Right.
Okay.
All right,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
it's 25 on the
Yeah,
other hours,
right,
yeah,
right,
that
right.
makes sense.
And
Yeah.
you give you 10 miles over, right? 10 miles over the limit?
Well, that is really up to the department
Okay.
on the enforcement side of it. I publicly do not want to put a cushion out there, because it takes away from the speed limit itself. Thinking, well, I could do 30 and not worry about a ticket.
Yeah,
I'm
and,
not going to say that. We're gonna use reasonableness.
Because I think the state police talked about 15 miles over on the turnpike. They're putting speed cameras, or they're suggesting speed cameras.
I'm just gonna keep my credit card on file.
I would just
So
say,
they were talking.
you know, be
Public,
really
they
strict
said
in the
15
beginning,
miles.
so
There-
people
yeah.
get a message.
Yeah, exactly, I think that's what we're gonna see highs and lows
Yeah.
of this.
It's gonna be a learning.
When we have visitors throughout the town, for example, when new college students move in, they may not be used to the area and where these cameras are, and then people get used to them and they slow down in certain areas, so it's gonna be a work in progress for sure. It's gonna be a fluid, task for us. And as Captain mentioned, the speed limit that's set there is the speed limit. And when we first implement it, we are going to have a strict stance about what the speed limit is. When we start to see ebbs and flows and how these cameras are actually working, if they are working, if they're not working, then we'll start to make adjustments as necessary.
Okay, good.
So, a quick question, on the appeals process, what would a normal appeal look like? If I got a ticket and didn't like it, what am I appealing? I mean, am I appealing the accuracy of the technology? I mean,
I have
there's no
a good example of that, 'cause I got one last week for, speeding in Middletown, Connecticut, and they sent a picture, you know, to the department, because it's registered here, of a car with what looks like listed my license plate.
Okay.
The problem is, in Middletown at 10 o'clock at night, I was home and asleep, and the picture wasn't my car, so, we appealed, and they...
So it's not me, kind of a thing?
Yeah, and then they verified, they said they overruled it, or, they accepted my appeal, and they, and realized they made a mistake.
And
That's one reason.
Okay.
And then while the officers are going through, each violation has to be approved or rejected by our trained personnel who are trained to watch these cameras. So there's a human sense behind this where you're seeing the violation, you're seeing the plate number, and you're seeing what's printed on the infraction or on the citation. And the people who are managing this are going to be looking at what is the camera saying the plate number is versus what's printed on the actual citation. So that's going to be something that they're going to, you know, of course, there's obviously room for error, and when the appeals come through, things like that will potentially be something where we can settle them right away. Others may appeal it and say, well, I didn't know I was speeding, or I was going to a funeral, or I was going because my kid was sick, or such things like that. And that'll be up to the arbitrator to make a decision at that point as to whether they believe that the fine should stay or not.
So the human being that's looking at each one quickly, is that somebody here or somebody at the company? Somebody here. Okay.
Each violation that is going to be processed as such will be sent here to our department for verification by two trained personnel.
Every one, okay.
And we're looking at both the plate and the vehicle, and does it match the image? And does it exceed the posted speed?
Okay.
So those three factors.
So you're saying that so somebody who's going 21 miles an hour in the school zone, they're gonna get a ticket?
I'm not saying that.
Okay, because originally, when this was proposed, you used the 10 miles over the, you know.
That's correct. That is our cushion.
Okay.
But what I'm saying to you is that publicly, I am not looking to advertise that.
Right.
Because the speed limit is set at 20.
Right.
Between 8 and 9 a.m. for a reason.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's fair.
But a violation under this ATSAD program is not going to be similar to a violation that one would receive on the highway.
No
You're
way.
not gonna get points for it.
No way. No points at all, and it's an ordinance violation.
Yeah.
So the state does not receive that money, it comes back to the town.
Okay, so it's a civil violation from the town of Fairfield. That was one of the things that, as we're talking about this whole thing together, we wanted to ensure that this is not just the police department putting these fines out there, so that we're not looking as if we're collecting funds and throwing money in the air.
Money grab.
Yeah, we want this to be a town of Fairfield citation, and when Captain and I were going over what the citation looks like, which we will publicize, so people know that this is what the citation looks like, this is the address it goes to. Originally, they had a responding address to like a P.O. box
In
in
Ohio.
Ohio, and we said, this doesn't look appropriate. So we made the company use a P.O. box in Fairfield, so that there doesn't appear that this is a fraudulent citation. We want people to believe that this is actual citation, this is how you have to do it.
Question, Chair.
Go ahead.
for Deputy Chief Wine, I'm sure you already thought of this, there's gonna be an implied overtime impact here, right? Again, so making the same statement, if we're asking the agency to take on more responsibility, enhancing their core area of operation, you have to have I think, if it pleases the chair, probably a discussion just about that and the impact, because it's a budgeted issue again. It's gonna come up as an overtime issue.
That's right.
And then there's gonna be a variance, and then we're gonna go through that whole thing again.
Well, hopefully if it's coming from the fund that this revenue is generating, hopefully.
Chief, I'll just say this,
What?
and I look at things maybe a little bit differently.
50, 70.
There's a certain amount of implied operational requirements that you need to run the business, right? So setting aside where the dollars come from, we have to account for them, right?
Yeah.
So if, whether we get it from here or we get it from there, just focus us for a second, is that when we create budgets, it's gotta be built in reality. So if you guys are tasked with duties, either little or if they enhance, that's a cost. Setting aside where it comes from, so we just have to be very cognizant of those budgetary implications, and then, if it pleases the chair, we should probably have a conversation on today, on those impacts, right? Because when Deputy Chief Y, with the great help of Captain Irizarry, goes and shows them, it's another 100 hours a year in overtime, the first question is gonna be asked, why is there overtime?
Right.
Right, because you're enhancing the operational, responsibility of the agency that you had before. That's my whole point.
Yep.
I don't, where the money comes from is great, I get it, but there is a baseline budget. And your task now moves as a 14 task force. And that's all my question.
Okay, Commissioner Pine?
Yeah.
So there was some discussion about, getting money, like reducing the engineering or DPW budget by the amount of money you get from the cameras, and that money come back to the police department. Is that a feasible thing?
I think it's something that we're gonna have to look at for next fiscal year, because we don't have it
You don't have the revenue stream
functioning
yet.
yet. So I think it's something to think about. I just don't know if the funding state regulations would allow us to do that. I know some agencies, like Middletown, do that. I just want to ensure
What
that
do they do, Chief?
so the offset from the amount of funding that they're getting from the revenue of the traffic cameras, they would give to that's, for example, Department of Public Works for roadway paving improvements, et cetera. The difference of what DPW was getting for that stuff, the funding would go back into the police department so that they could use it for things such as new vehicles, equipment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So it's an option for us, for sure.
So it'd be increasing your budget, not a transfer. It'd be saying,
Yeah.
we're gonna decrease DPW's budget by this much, and we're gonna increase the police department's budget by this much, right?
Yeah, because DPW's budget would essentially become flat, let's say, because they're gonna get that revenue income.
It's just priority in distribution. If there's $100 total revenue, and DPW needs 80, Secretary Pine, $20 would revert back to the PD.
Yep.
Simple math.
Yep.
If they
Right?
do it.
Yeah, we
right, yeah.
definitely don't wanna, we're not here to decrease anybody's budget.
Right.
No.
But it would be beneficial to us to increase our budget for equipment and such that's used.
Sure.
And that's a common practice in Middletown, or any other agency?
I've heard that, from Middletown, staff, that's what happens.
Okay.
I've not
That's
seen it.
helpful.
Yeah,
That's
not seen it, but I know that it's practiced.
Potentially helpful. Well, it's potentially a squeeze play that we get squeezed out of at some point
That's
in the
correct.
budget cycle.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And what is the fee of the ticket?
First ticket,
Yep,
$65,
65.
with $50 coming back to the agency.
Uh-huh.
The vendor receives $15 administrative fee.
Mhm.
Second violation, within a one-year time period.
1 year,
Of the
okay.
first, jumps to $90, with $75 coming to the department and $15 going to the vendor.
Okay.
My credit card on file.
Credit card on file. Okay, is there any more questions?
Credit card.
No? No? Mhm.
The fees are reasonable, people are paying.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
let's move into executive session. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
And is there a second?
All right,
All
they'll
in
let you
favor?
do it.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. There was a lot of information. Thank you very much. Okay, all right. We're in, public session. No motions were made and no votes were taken. All right, is there a motion
Make a motion.
to, go ahead? And second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Pass.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I
Any further business or?
make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I
All in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Whoa.
Guys did great.